This is the new 2023 Honda Hornet, and this can be yours for £6,999. Let's see what it's all about. In the middleweight naked bike market, the Hornet faces some very stiff competition. But given this bike's price, its power, the build quality and the features, I think it should stack up pretty well. Essentially, this is the first time I've been out on the bike, so you can kind of gauge my impressions from jumping on it straight away. But we'll follow this up in a couple of weeks with a much deeper dive into it. So for this one, it's my first impressions only, so we might as well jump straight to me out on the road. So let's start where I normally start, which is ergonomics. We've got a nice seat height, 795mm. I've got a 32-inch inseam. I'm 5'10", and I can obviously flat foot this with a bend in my legs. That's nice and easy. When it comes to the riding position, then it is again very comfortable. It feels very natural. I know that might sound a bit weird, but you jump on this and you kind of feel instantly comfortable. The bars are at a nice position. You're not kind of leaning forward too much, too sporty. The seat's kind of quite broad at the back, so I can imagine that would be comfortable, but I will kind of report back on that once I've spent more time in it. With the two-piece seat, you haven't really got a lot of room to move backwards and forwards, so you're kind of planted in one position. The back of your backside is up against the hump at the rear, but other than that it's pretty good. Not too much of a bend in the legs, kind of a semi-sporty position, but it's not an uncomfortable riding position in that sense. And obviously part of the ergonomics for this is the weight as well, so 190 kilos curb weight. It's pretty good. This isn't a standard bike, I would have to mention that. This is got a couple of bits on it, so it's got the sports pack on it, and the sports pack comes with a quick shifter up and down. There's a seat cowl on the rear. You've got this little flyer screen, you've got some fancy pegs. That's a £555 option, which actually doesn't seem like too bad a deal considering the quick shifter's 240 on its own. This also has the SC Project exhaust on it, so will be a little bit more raughty. But that is a £900 option for that end can. So whilst there's no doubt that this is a really good value bike, coming in at £6,999 in its standard form, the one I'm riding would set you back £8,500. But as I say, nearly £1,000 of that is just on the end can, and I'm not exactly sure that it's worth it. It saves some weight, it looks pretty good, it sounds nice, but so overall ergonomics are good. In terms of the ride quality, where you've got Showa 41mm upside down forks on the front, they're a separate function fork, non-adjustable, and then you've got a ProLink rear shock at the back, and it seems to be doing a pretty good job so far. It's a little bit jiggly, not as plush as I was expecting, but I think for a bike like this they've got to kind of fit it between the sort of plush and sporty side. But it's pretty good. And the other big thing about this in terms of handling is the steering. The steering is super quick. It's really sharp. It kind of reminds me of the KTM 890 Duke. I actually got a friend that rides a 690 Duke car, and it's very similar to that. It's very direct, very fast. It takes a little bit of getting used to. You find yourself coming into roundabouts and not necessarily going around them smoothly. You're kind of doing it in stages until you get used to it. It changes direction on a dime, and it is super quick. But I say, once you've acclimatised yourself to that, it does handle really nicely. And I think then you really notice that slightly firm suspension is doing really what you need it to do. In reality, is pretty damn good. There's one thing you notice actually when you jump on this, is that it feels like the forks are very steep and the front wheel's right underneath you. Honda have worked on that geometry to get quite a sporty feel out of this. And actually the engine, and we'll talk about that briefly as well, the engine really suits it. It's a nice punchy motor. You've got 90 horsepower, peaking at 9,500, and I think it's 74 newton meters of torque. For a 750 engine, it delivers a nice gobful of power. In fact, if you compare it to a lot of its competitors, it's offering more power than most, and it's very eager, very punchy engine. I mean, standard mode at the moment, there's 4 modes: so standard, sport, rain and user, which you can set up to get it to do exactly what you want it to do in terms of the power, engine braking and torque settings that they have there. I find it a little bit snatchy on the throttle. It's a wide bar wire throttle. It's a little bit snatchy off the bottom. Not horrible. But it's certainly eager. And this is the engine, obviously, I think, which is going to appear on quite a few models going forward. It's the engine that's going to be in the, or is in the Transalp. It'll be interesting to see kind of what state of tune they put that in. 90 horsepower is more than enough on a bike that weighs 190 kilos, and you combine that with the sharp steering, decent handling. It's a good fun bike to ride. There is an A2 license restrictor that can be put onto this as well. It's a nice note from the exhaust. They've done quite a bit of work on the airbox on this. It is a cracking engine so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's eager, it's pretty smooth. I'm getting no vibes whatsoever, and the handlebars are through the pegs. 270-degree crank, you'd expect a little bit. Obviously it's not as smooth as the 650, the 4-cylinder 650, but for a twin it's pretty bloody damn good. Could do with that being stuck behind this. Whilst I'm waiting here, let's talk about that 5-inch TFT. Really nice. Again, really simple. What I like about the Honda TFTs is they don't go over the top. So we've got everything we need on there. Really clear. You've got a little digital rev counter. You can see everything, and the controls are really simple as well. Switching modes, it's just a case of pressing the mode button, and then we can go to rain, shut the throttle, we're in rain, user, sport. You can see sport, full power, less engine braking. If I put it in standard, a bit more engine braking, a little less power, but it doesn't change the power output of the bike. You've still got that full 90 horsepower, it's just the way that it's delivered. But really nice, easy to read screen, and just hidden by that accessory fly screen. Typical Honda quality, everything is nicely finished. I think it's really good value. Now we'll talk a little bit more about its competitors and who it's up against later on. I think for £7 you're getting a hell of a lot of bike. Bike feels pretty planted. It does inspire confidence in you. Super quick to turn. You can just change direction on a sixpence. So obviously I'm going to do a follow-up video of this once I've spent a bit more time on the bike and I can delve into it a little bit deeper. This was just to give you my first initial response, and if I'd just spent £7,000, well, this one's 8,500, but let's ignore that, because in reality the only difference I've got is the quick shifter. The rest is cosmetic, and we'll ignore the exhaust. I don't know what the stock one sounds like. I imagine it's probably not that much different, but if I'd just spent $6,999 on this for the standard bike, I would be very pleased. The styling is always going to be objective. A lot of people looked at it and said it's dull and boring. I don't think it's that bad. It's one of those bikes that actually looks much better in the metal than it does on pictures. I saw it at the NEC. I thought, yeah, it's nice. Depends on the colour as well. This pearl glare white one with the red frame I think looks really nice. There's yellow and grey and black as well. Yeah, it is subjective. It's not the most exciting looking bike on the world. I think it looks nice. I like it actually. I'd be quite happy to ride one of these. What they haven't done is gone too far in the other direction and make it a bit kind of, or very polarising. It's not one of those bikes that you either sort of love it or hate it. This is pretty much down, down the middle of the road. And obviously, inevitably, whenever a company relaunches an old brand, then that's going to create some friction. I know that there'll be previous owners saying, well, it's not really a Hornet, blah blah blah. And if you hark for those inline 4 days, then you've got the CB750R. That's their middleweight kind of inline 4 offering. Whether the 650 will carry on a long term, I don't know. Whether this engine is designed to replace, who knows. Haha. Yeah, it's a punchy little bugger. So for this review, I just want to kind of get out and give my first initial impressions, and the initial impressions are not really good. There's not a lot to dislike about the bike actually. I think Honda will do well with this. There's plenty of accessories you can go for. There's a range of luggage, so I couldn't see any problem with you put in a couple of the semi-hard cases that they do at the back and something on the back seat, and you've got a bike that's, you know, probably not that bad for some touring, not maybe super long distance touring, but it is comfortable. What other things can I talk about whilst we're looking for somewhere to get you have a look around the bike? 15 litre tank, and with the fuel economy that Honda suggests, you should squeeze a couple of 100 miles out of this tank. Again, that's something for me to test longer term. In terms of the servicing costs, well, that I'd need to have a look at, but I can get some numbers to put into the main review. And there is obviously servicing packages that you can buy, so when you buy the bike you can buy a 3-year package. Definitely for $6,999, this is a hell of a package. Honda have done well to get it in at that price. It doesn't feel really like they've cut corners. You know, you've got a nice TFT screen, the functionality, all the switch gears are nice. Nothing kind of feels cheap or budget. The paint finish is good, the finish on the frame, and they're definitely onto a winner with this. But anyway, I'm going to head off, find somewhere to have a look around, and we'll go from there. I haven't talked about the brakes either. They seem to be really good. Nothing neck snapping in terms of power, but they do what they need to do. It's good. It's bloody good. You can have, I think, a hell of a lot of fun on this. Given that the rain is coming down, this might be as good a place as any to stop and have a look around. If I can find somewhere, I'm not going to disappear down a bloody mine shaft. Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice looking bike, to be honest. Nice cast wheels, the anodised forks matching the frame is good. And so there's this little fly screen, which I think actually neatens this whole bit up with the clock. There's that exhaust. It's a very nice exhaust. Whether you want to spend £900 on that, I'm not entirely sure. And there's the seat cowl, which replaces the seat. For somebody who doesn't take pillions, I'll be quite happy with that on there. I suppose it makes it a little bit tricky to put luggage on. And the bit that I think people don't seem to like that much is that headlight. But it's pretty good. LED. Seems good. I've not ridden it at night yet. Underneath this, we've got toolkit in there, and there's actually quite a lot of space for storing some bits and pieces under there, should you want to. Seat height's not adjustable, seat height is what it is. But yeah, I actually think that's a nice looking bike. Yeah, good, thanks. That's the new Hornet, yeah. What do you think? Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I subscribe to Ram Truck Live.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Moto Bob and
yeah. Exactly, yeah. They get them a bit sooner than I do. Missing and Flyers had one, yeah. But yeah, this is not, you know, considering this is £7 grand.
It's £2 grand, well, £2.5 grand less than the my Aprilia. Tony, I'll give you.
Your name is
Paul.
Paul. Hi, Paul.
I'll give you.
Yeah, have a look.
A comment or whatever.
Cool. Okie dokie, I better go in before it gets raining.
Yeah.
Enjoy your ride. See you later. Oh, there you go, a little bit of roadside feedback. So there you have it. That's just about all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions about the bike, then let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try to answer those in the full length video. But first impressions are really good. The build quality is excellent. It's great fun to ride. There's a couple of little issues with it. No bike is perfect, but when you consider at $6,999 the price of this bike, I think those things can be forgiven. So
Until next time, all that leaves me to say is thank you for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.